This is the Yanks Go Yard podcast with Adam Weinrib and Thomas Carannante.
Welcome to the Yanks Go Yard podcast. I'm Adam Weinrib alongside Thomas Carannante. Oh my God. Sorry we didn't get a chance to do a trade deadline recap. Brian Cashman made 4 big additions on deadline day after making 3 in the days prior. And it was a great transformative trade deadline. And it transformed the 2025 New York Yankees into even bigger pieces of shit than they already were before the trade deadline. So mission accomplished. This is a crazy moment in the discourse where everyone is sort of aligned that like, oh yeah, Aaron Boone has to be fired. Like now's the time. Aaron Boone's got to go. Must be fired. And I don't think they're being harsh enough. I don't think there's been a worse regular season loss than Friday for so many reasons. For the long range implications, mostly, obviously for 2025, but they told you what they thought about 2025 before that game because they traded for a whole bunch of people who are controlled beyond 2025. They traded for David Bednar, he'll be here next year. Camilo Doval will be here next year in 2027 as well. Traded for Jose Caballero, who's here through 2029. Jake Bird, I think, is also here through 2028.
Yep.
It's quite a while
True.
for those 4 guys. Austin Slater, Ahmed Rosario might not even make it to the end of the year. I guess we'll see. But I liked every single one of the additions the Yankees made after Ryan McMahon. When they got Ryan McMahon, I said, well, that's not. Oh, so you know what? Okay. McMahon at the time, I was underwhelmed. He immediately proved me wrong. Love that. He's been great. Jake Bird, I gave a middling mark to because I thought, okay, this is the classic Yankees love the metrics. Yankees love, the get out of cores factor, and we can fix him. But they need someone right now who they can do more than just, it's going to take a while to fix Jake Bird. They need 3 arms they can rely on right now. And in my opinion, they got 2. So, okay, I dinged Jake Bird, even acknowledging that I think he's going to eventually do what we want him to do, but not now. It's going to take a while. And unfortunately, immediately vindicated on that shit because Jake Bird came in and threw a gas can on Friday night's game. There was a moment on Friday when the vibes could not have been higher, which is crazy to think about in retrospect, considering the Yankee season is now over. If you think the 2025 Yankees are winning the World Series, like I want to live inside your brain. If you think that there's a world where
you don't like the Yankees,
what are you people talking about? If you think the 2025 Yankees, after what you've seen, after mounting evidence, are a World Series team, the Yankees are 25-32 since May. That's a long time. That's 2+ months. They're not good. The New York Yankees since June 13th on the road, 5-17. They have been swept 3 times with an ERA approaching 6 in the 5.7s. They aren't good. And when they were up 6-0 on Friday, you could briefly trick yourself into one last respite, one last oh, okay, you know what? That deadline that did an impossible job well of filling their many holes, especially in the bullpen, in both 2025 and beyond, it actually might have energized them. And they're up 6-0 and they're rolling. And Carlos Rodon can't handle it. And Carlos Rodon throws 107 pitches in under 5 innings. And you take him out and you bring in Jonathan Loaisiga for whatever reason. You just replaced Jonathan Loaisiga 3 times. And you still bring him in the 5th inning. And he gives up 2 more runs. But it's 6-4. Brent Hedrick gets through the 6th. Trent Grisham hits a 3-run homer in the top of the 7th. It is 9-4. The vibes are at an even higher point than they were when it was 6-0.
Yep.
Deeper in the game, and the Yankees punched back. And from that point forward, every single person the Yankees acquired at the deadline shit on this individual baseball game, starting with Jake Bird, ending with Camilo Doval and Jose Caballero. David Bednar in the middle there. He threw a scoreless inning, which is great because it came after he gave up a game-tying home run and a tie-breaking run scored, all with 2 outs. The 3 hits that broke the tie came with 2 outs. The Yankees showed a lot of offensive resilience in this game. They also showed a lot of pitching staff ineptitude, which they've been doing all year, as well as defensive malfeasance from Caballero. Camilo Doval got the first out in the 9th, never got an out again. It's the worst regular season game that this franchise has played during my lifetime. And I don't think it's close. And you're laughing at it. And
It's just a new one every week.
Give me a challenge. Like, if anybody wants to challenge me on what was a worse regular season loss than that, 6-0, 9-4, tying it after falling behind 10-9, 12-10, you blow it again. You blow it with every single new acquisition playing a key role. It's hindsight is 2020, but I legitimately cannot believe that every new addition bullpen arm was used in that game. I can't believe, and don't let Aaron Boone get off scot-free. Bases loaded, 1 out. Kyle Stowers. Jake Bird struggles against lefties. Bednar dominates them. David Bednar can't come in there. We have to throw a cookie for a grand slam to the hottest hit the player of the month in July. The Marlins have been a very good team for just as long as the Yankees have been a very bad team. They have the second best record in baseball behind the Brewers over an extended 40-game stretch. But the Yankees, you go down and you struggle to hit against Yuri Perez. You struggle to hit against Edward Cabrera. That's one thing. What the Yankees did was lost an abomination of an opening game. Again, a stain on the franchise, something that might affect all these trade deadline acquisitions who are controlled for so long, 4 years now. They're going to all have to prove to me that they can mentally get over this hurdle that they created. And then they go down, and then, of course, Jazz getting yelled at by Boone. The weird pop-up decision, a ton of errors. Trent Grisham dropping a fly ball, basically. It turned into a ribby double late in the third game. Getting shut down by these dominant Marlins starters and having the vibe heavy Marlins running over you is one thing, but the order of operations here, an unforgivable sweep, and saying that Aaron Boone should be dismissed is not strong enough. They're 3 games up on a playoff spot. The team they're 3 games ahead of, they're about to face in a 3-game road series this week. Again, 5-17 on the road. Good fucking luck. Thomas Carannante, welcome to the show.
Oh, come on in. Thanks for tuning in, folks. There's a lot to go through, unfortunately, and it's going to range from a little bit of positive talks after what we saw at the deadline to what happened this weekend. Swept by the Marlins for the first time in franchise history. I mean, again, I don't know how many more instances of unforgivable statistics you can have under the Aaron Boone era without there being an actionable, decision made. They're not going to fire him mid-season. We all know that that's the case. The decision should have came years ago.
I also have someone in my inbox, every time they lose a bad game, that's like, why don't you guys hold their feet to the fire? The fact that you're saying they won't fire him mid-season is turning that into reality. It's not an inevitability. And it's like, no, they're not going to fire him mid-season. It has nothing to do with us.
Imagine if we had that power.
We should try. I mean, they should fire him. What if they fired him mid-season? It could be fun and interesting. Unfortunately, we don't hold that sway.
We've talked about this for years. There is nothing you can lose by firing Aaron Boone mid-season. Absolutely nothing. It cannot get worse. Again, the Yankees coast on their talent. We've been talking about this for 5 years now. The Yankees have good enough rosters to contend for a wild card spot, to potentially contend for a division. They do not have the proper messaging. I'm even over the accountability and the discipline because, it is what it is. He doesn't want to do it, or he does it behind the scenes. We're never going to see it. We're never going to understand it. It's just the collective. New guys coming in, not getting right into Jazz is a new guy. Jazz should not be making mistakes that he did in that. I don't understand the explanation that he was saying. He was trying to make a read on it. If Xavier Edwards drops that pop-up, you are out anyway, whether he throws you out at second, whether he throws you out at first. So I don't know what the thought process was there. Aaron Boone's theater in the dugout yelling at the first base coach, that's not the first base coach's problem. That's whatever Jazz is trying to do in that instant. What do you want the first base coach to say? Get back, get back, get back. I'm sure he was. I'm sure he wasn't silent. And even if he was silent, that is not his job to hold a veteran accountable for a basic base running trait. You do not go far off the bag when there's an infield pop-up. It's just the way it is. But anyway, trade deadline, very good. I think everybody can attest to that. I think there were 2 underwhelming aspects of the trade deadline that got swept under the rug when it all happened because, again, Brian Cashman went out and he got what this team needed, right? Got a third baseman, got an upgrade over Oswald Peraza, and then revamped the entire bullpen. got rid of Marcus Stroman right after the deadline. Not sure if I fully agree with that because I think JT Brubaker shouldn't be here. I think Jonathan Loáisiga shouldn't be here. So if Stroman said, I'm absolutely not going to the bullpen, I want to go somewhere else, then great. If that was an option and they still released him, then they're dumber than we ever could have imagined.
DJ LeMahieu is still not on a team, by the way, for anybody keeping track.
Yeah, I mean, neither is Anthony Rizzo. So
you leave the Yankees, you're not in baseball anymore. Like Alex Verdugo not on a team, guys.
Yep. It's just the way it is. So you look at these acquisitions, right? So the two underwhelming aspects are don't forget, they traded Oswald Peraza and Everson Pereira for pennies on the dollar when both of these guys could have been included in blockbuster trades over the last 4 years. Probably from 2020 to 2022, 3-ish, they probably could have been dealt in blockbuster deals.
Yeah, Oswald Peraza was like our savior starting shortstop in the middle of the ALCS in 2022. Yeah. So at that point, I think you could dangle him. Yeah.
So you trade two prospects who were in the top 100 in baseball for pennies on the dollar. You get a lottery ticket prospect from the Angels and some international bonus pool money. And then you get Jose Caballero from the Rays in an expanded package with Pereira. That's, to me, is a major offense on asset management. We talk about it every episode, so not going to go too much further into it. Secondly, the fact that, and I will say, Brian Cashman did a great job of doing this. He was calculated in his acquisitions, but there was clearly a line in the sand here with how much money he could put on the payroll. None of these guys are making real money with the exception of Ryan McMahon, and Ryan McMahon's bigger salary doesn't kick until next year. So once again, an orchestrated deadline to make sure that they don't go over the luxury tax too far so they don't have to pay a larger bill at the end of the year. We're not blind to this. So were there better acquisitions the Yankees could have made? I actually don't think there were too many. But it was clear that they did not go over the top to do anything that really would have helped this roster. So I'm not disagreeing that these moves were good. I think that all of them serve a purpose. Bad timing with these horrible performances on Friday. Derek Jeter said it on the broadcast after, I think, Saturday's game. He's like, look, it takes a minute to get acclimated. So, bad things happen sometimes and you run into problems like this. It's just crazy that it happened with every single one of them in one game. I know that that's hard to believe, but it's kind of what we're accustomed to with the Yankees now. But moreover is the fact that you get this infusion, and this is also talking to, again, whatever's going on in the clubhouse, whatever the team vibe is, whatever the messaging is, don't know, done kind of harping on it, but another trade deadline with infusion of talent and completely addressing what the deficiencies are in this roster, and you could not have looked worse over a span of 3 games. From the coaching, from the execution, from the fundamentals, from the timeliness, from former players whooping her. Agustin Ramirez whooped our ass this entire series.
Whooped.
Surprise, surprise. Knew it was coming. So
at least he's good.
Look, the trade deadline was good. It was good. I truly believe that the Yankees did what they needed to do to. Here's my assessment of the trade deadline. It was good. It was just enough for the Yankees to remain afloat. It didn't change much in terms of what they'll be able to accomplish this year. Adding 2 extra bullpen arms from a completely depleted bullpen, like 2 real bullpen arms. Jake Bird is not a real bullpen arm to me.
Not right now, no.
David Bednar is a real arm. Yeah. Camilo Doval is a real arm. I understand all of these guys have closing capability between Devin Williams and Luke Weaver as well. That doesn't change the complexion of where this team is now from where they can be in October. This team has had – Friday is the encapsulation of all of it, right? You have the bats scoring runs endlessly. You have the pitching faltering as the bats are scoring. You have untimely errors. You have base running mistakes. You have – name it all. The Yankees can never be on the same wavelength with all the parts that need to come together for this team. And that's really the big issue here because – it speaks to whatever the larger concern is. It doesn't matter who you bring in. It doesn't matter who you ship off. It doesn't matter who gets optioned. It doesn't matter who gets DFA'd. It's the same shit. We have let Anthony Rizzo and Alex Verdugo go. Nothing's changed. We DFA'd DJ LeMahieu. Nothing's changed. I mean, obviously, yes, third base got better, but the sum of the product has not gotten better. So trade deadline good, results bad, speaks to something else. Something's got to give. Can't keep doing this over and over again, though.
Boone, Travis Chapman, Luis Rojas at the very least.
That's it. And look, sorry to interrupt, but you watch this series, an egregious strike zone. I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah.
Not an excuse, but also the Luis Rojas sends. Like, what are you doing, man?
It's getting crazier.
It's Trent Giancarlo Stanton. They don't send historically. They don't send people home from second on Giancarlo Stanton singles because he hits them too hard. This one was the shallow left with a guy running in on the ball and playing it perfectly. Trent Grisham barely touched third base when it went into Kyle Stowers' glove. It's just like, what is anybody doing? And then the Boone theatrics yelling at Travis Chapman. It's like, give me a break, man. Like, now this is where we're going to start putting our foot down on something that, like, I like how he pulled Jazz into the clubhouse to say something to him, but then Jazz in the post game doesn't give a fuck. So again, what did the messaging do? If we're so diligent on delivering the messages to the players and making it seem like, we got it all handled behind closed doors, then why is nothing showing any difference in any of it?
Okay. I just
true.
It's so devastatingly frustrating. And I think 2022 and 2025, when you're talking about all the good vibes of this deadline, you're immediately thinking back on how you felt when they executed all of those maneuvers in 2022 and how it's the all-time gold standard for good deadline, bad vibes retroactively. But even 3 years ago, it feels like it gets forgotten how quickly we were sort of critical, and a lot of people were critical of some of the things that they did, like bringing in Frankie Montas. We knew he had a shoulder injury. So we're happy with the high upside rotation addition, but we're worried about how healthy he is and what that means. And immediately it bears out that he's not healthy at all. He doesn't help, and he's basically a useless acquisition. Harrison Bader for Jordan Montgomery. Bader's in a walking boot. Montgomery's a key piece of this rotation. You are adding a guy with a shoulder injury and subtracting another member of the rotation. Did you add to the rotation? Did you not? I was all in on the Scott Efros move at the time. I was wrong. But those two, at least I remember the early seeds, and our immediate reaction was, did the rotation get stronger, swapping one out for another guy? No, you want to add two, you don't want to subtract. And what can Montas bring us anyway? The answer is not much. This year, I felt much better, much more ironclad in my positivity about the deadline. Bednar was the reliever I wanted the most. Camilo Doval was not on my radar. And these are two guys who had bad 2024s and really good rebound 2025s. Jake Bird, I smelled it. I just knew they were going to get him. And I'm totally neutral on the addition. I think I graded it a C+, which is pretty new. You hated it.
What do I know?
Yeah.
I don't know anything.
Well, but I mean, I couldn't be furious, but I'm mad if you're going to try to shoehorn him into a role that he is not immediate relief for this team. He's a guy who's had a 4+ ERA in every season he's ever participated in Major League Baseball, and over a 4.5 in 3 of the 4. So, good fire and good emotion and good sweeper, but it looked like Efros, and Efros was one of the worst things they've ever done. And so far, so bad here.
Yeah, it was asset management for me. Like that's what it comes down to. Like, you want a reliever in Jake Bird, great. Okay, like, acquire him. Don't give up a surging top 10 prospect. Like, I don't know what prospects are hard. I look at them all the time. I usually don't know what to think, but if we're talking about paying the price for somebody, Rock Riggio taking off at AA in 40 games, that should be an asset included in a larger deal for a better player, not a 2-person trade for a reliever who has did you guys see the splits? He's good in Colorado, he sucks everywhere else. So what use is that? If it was reverse splits, I'd say, okay, sucks in Colorado, makes total sense. Let's get him out of there and bring him to Yankee Stadium and to a million other pitcher-friendly ballparks. Not the case. He's bad on the road, according to whatever the stats are. So you trade a rising asset in Riggio that could have been saved for the offseason for a bigger thing, or maybe could have been, I don't know, an extra piece in a deal to get something else. You still need a starting pitcher. You didn't get one. So I don't know what's available. I don't know what's out there. It just on paper looks like bad asset management.
Yeah, and I even, I don't actually believe in the take that I am about to say wholeheartedly, but I just do want it on the podcast. And I want to acknowledge the people who have this viewpoint, because I could go either way depending on how I wake up on a given day. But so AJ Preller of the Padres has never won a World Series, right? For all his wheeling and dealing. So I don't know definitively whether I would rather have AJ Preller or a guy like AJ Preller running the Yankees over a guy like Brian Cashman. But I do think it's worth noting that while the Yankees could not match the package that Preller surrendered for Mason Miller, the best reliever dealt at this deadline, he gave up Leo DeVries. We don't have one of those. So I can't say the Yankees should have matched or exceeded Preller's price. Not possible for them to do that, even with Lombard Jr. and Spencer Jones. Maybe both of them gets it done. I don't know. But all I do know is the Yankees needed bullpen help, and they got 3 pieces of bullpen help. 2 feel immediate, 1 feels like a project. They didn't get the best reliever traded. AJ Preller did. He seems to always get the best player traded at the deadline, or close to it. Brian Cashman almost never does. And you have Brian Cashman and the Yankees defenders bragging about how they held on to their top 7 prospects at this deadline. Didn't have to deal from any of them to make what they wanted to do happen. And I just wager, is that something to brag about? Is it worth bragging about holding on to your top 7 chips if all you do is hold on to your top 7 chips when the offseason comes and there's somebody on the West Coast who got a player at your position of need who's better than anybody you got using his top 1 chip? Are the Padres going to the World Series this year? Are they going to win it? Are the Yankees? No. But we'll have to see what happens to the Padres. We'll have to see what happens to Mason Miller over the course of his time in San Diego. And we'll have to, dream about the Yankees having a Leo DeVries type to match up there. I don't think there was a match on Mason Miller. That's why this is not a fully fleshed out, he did X when he should have done Y take. But I just want to note that there's a guy on the West Coast in AJ Preller who always gets the best player available, always gets what he wants, doesn't care what he has to sacrifice to get it in the name of winning a title. And there's a guy on the East Coast in Brian Cashman who has fans with their prospect propaganda machines tweeting screenshots about how amazing it is that he got to do everything he did at the deadline without giving up any of his top 7 prospects, as if that's automatically a good thing to hold on to your top 7 prospects. It's not always good. Sometimes you have to.
Again, hold on to all your top prospects where 0.1% of them come to fruition. Like, I get the sentiment. It's a good way to, fluff the PR. Hey, we upgraded everywhere that you said that we thought we should. And on top of that, we didn't get rid of our top talent. Okay, great. What's the plan for the top talent? How confident are you in the top talent? Because if you weren't that confident in the top talent, then they should have been traded. Or if you're super confident in that top talent, then there should be a plan now-ish to figure it out. Spencer Jones, should be up by now. I know the back spasms are happening, but I don't know. Should this team be waiting until September to promote Spencer Jones? I don't think so. On the flip side, I don't know you're right. I don't know what the brag is, because when did the Yankees get rid of their best prospects? Does it ever happen? Have we ever seen a deal where we were like, oh my God, he got rid of this guy, or, oh wow, that's an aggressive package for a player that they absolutely need? It never happens. It never happens. So again, I don't know. We talked about it the last couple episodes. Again, it just feels like the Yankees do just enough to make sure that they're in the conversation, and they hope the chips fall in their favor, and they don't really care about anything else. Remain the brand that you are. Keep playoffs in striking distance. Pretend to be confident in your personnel when you actually get to the playoffs, even though you shouldn't be, because there's a lot of issues time and time again. And that's that. And then just, again, you keep replenishing as you can, preparing. Again, a classic Yankees approach to the trade deadline is preparing for the next year, right? They do this they never acquire rentals. They're always, okay, let's get a guy for the next season and see how he fits into the picture. And I don't disagree with that, because it's good in some respects. It gives you less to do in the offseason. And we know that the Yankees kind of drag their feet in the offseason waiting for the market to materialize. They do it at the trade deadline too. It's infuriating. They rarely ever just go out and say, we're getting this guy. It's happening. They do it with some people. They did it with Garrett Cole. They did it with Max Fried. I understand that it happens. But in terms of, those were more so roster necessities, because the Yankees, I think, saw the writing on the wall with Garrett Cole last offseason. And they knew Carlos Rodon was kind of, as problematic as a good asset as you can have. Like, again, Carlos Rodon, good pitcher. Carlos Rodon, not what you signed up for, really, in terms of what they thought they were going to get. So you look back on Garrett Cole, where it was like, yeah, you needed to sign Garrett Cole for whatever amount of money that was because you had no pitching and you hadn't had an ace in however long. Like, you could call Masahiro Tanaka an ace. I love Masahiro Tanaka, but it was like not really the fire-breathing ace that the New York Yankees needed.
Would have been an awesome number 2.
Yeah, tried to dick around with Aaron Judge on the contract extension stuff. Like they don't go out and get what they want in the moment. They wait and they wait and they wait, and they're reactive to everything. So that's the other aspect of it, where it's like, all right, like, you're going to plan for 2026, which is great. And we don't disagree with that, because we're sitting here and we're like, what can you realistically do at this trade deadline to go for it in 2025? Really not much. Like, you could buy a bunch of rentals and say, we're confident in this squad, we're going to go for it, and it could blow up in your face and it looks really bad at the end of the year. But, like, give me a break with patting yourself on the back after this deadline, saying, hey, mission accomplished, we did what we did, and we have our top assets left. It's like, okay, great. If you're going to use those top assets, let me see it. If you're going to trade them in the offseason, bring in somebody legitimate. And that's really what it comes down to. So I know this deadline was especially difficult to navigate because there were a lot of the same teams in this boat looking for exactly what the Yankees needed. The Yankees needed another impact bat / starter on the infield. That's a hard thing to look for at the trade deadline. Everybody was in on Suarez. They didn't get him. Everyone's always looking for pitching. The Yankees seem to be in this boat every single year. I don't know how they haven't learned. And the Yankees went out and they got a bunch of guys. Let's also not forget, though, everybody, Duvall was optioned last year in 2024 because he was so bad.
David Bednar was optioned this year.
And David Bednar was optioned this year. So good acquisition, yes, like good acquisitions, upgrades, but not without major problems in the background. I know Bednar's been really good since May. I know Duvall has been really good this season, but those problems is recently, like, Duvall was less than a year ago. It was the end of August of 2024. Bednar was April of this year. Like, and then we see problems immediately upon their arrival. Just saying, like, these are the facts. I like the acquisitions. Could the acquisitions not work out? Absolutely. Like, again, Duvall's been pitching on a team that's largely been irrelevant for a while now. The Giants have been bad since 2022. Like, bad team, not good. They sold at this year's deadline because they didn't believe in the current roster that they had. The Pirates are arguably the worst team of the last 10 years when you look at the totality of it all. So you got two relievers from teams that have not been good, and pitching in New York in the high leverage is a completely different animal. So we'll see how it works out. Again, I like the acquisitions, but Friday could not have been a worse start, and the Yankees patting themselves on the back for keeping their assets is maddening.
And Jacob Marcy, you've got a rookie in his first game up in every big situation for the Marlins, and he comes through every time, including with a huge walk against Duvall in the ninth. I mean, we just reached untenable levels of screaming in the wake of that game. Everybody's mad about everything, so everybody's mad about every take. People were honestly, and I'm not kidding, saying to me in the aftermath, how can you blame this on Boone? It's on the players. And of course it's on the players. Every reliever came in and was awful. That's on every reliever. But how are you absolving Aaron Boone of blame here and everywhere and every day? I don't understand who the people are who are watching this mess and are just like, well, this doesn't fall on the manager's shoulders. Like, this is how it works in sports. A team looks this disheveled and falls apart. The manager and the leadership pay the price. Is it right? Is it a 1-to-1? Of course it's not. And I'll push back over and over and over again on the fact that Aaron Boone isn't not holding his players accountable, and he's not forgetting to tell them to stop dropping balls or being bad on the base paths, right? It's not a 1-to-1 solution of he should be angrier all the time. That's not going to help. But a change of tone helps, could help, might not help. I don't know.
Anything will help.
Like you said, what do they have to lose? What do they have to gain by keeping Aaron Boone? And specifically, if you want to yell about the way Friday turned out, blame the players. I blame all of the players. All of the players were terrible. But with a 9-4 lead in the 7th inning, they decided to go to Jake Bird, new acquisition, and it fails and it flops. At no point after that, when the game is in the balance, do you decide to try someone whose life wasn't upended within the past 24 hours? David Bednar comes in with a clean, nobody on base, and I'll give Boone credit for that, sure. And they go down 10-9, and he actually has a good 8th. They tie it, and they take the lead in the 9th. You have Luke Weaver, who'd gone 2 times in the previous 4 games. Someone tweeted at me they didn't want to go Weaver 3 out of 4. Well, yeah, they don't like doing that, but this was not a situation in which you would have been doing that. It would have been 2 out of 4. They were staying off Devin Williams because he would have gone 3 out of 4, and I endorse that. The last thing I want to do after the July Devin Williams has had is put Devin Williams in the 9th inning of a 2-run game in that scenario. That is the last thing I want to do. I'd rather go Doval over Devin Williams. But Luke Weaver, rested, familiar, a Yankee, has been a Yankee all year, has closed plenty, especially when Williams went down early in the season. I do not understand Doval over Weaver. It's a first guess. It's a second guess. And it's on Aaron Boone if I'm to believe what I'm to believe about the way that this hierarchy works. That call did not come from above. That came from Boone, who went with the 3 guys in a row who've slept the least during the trade deadline. Human beings wondering about, where am I going to live tomorrow? What are the logistics of my move? They threw Mark Leiter Jr. into a bases loaded situation last year, right after the trade deadline.
Off the plane.
He got out of it and it made no sense, but they learned nothing year over year. And Bird is one thing. I mean, we've made our thoughts on Jake Bird perfectly clear. His last outing before coming to the Yankees was 0 batters retired, 4 earned runs allowed in Cleveland. So I wouldn't have used him up 9-4. I wish they still had Gary De Los Santos, but they had gone to him 3 innings the day prior and couldn't. 9-4, I think you go to JT Brubaker. I mean, they're short on arms. I understand the Bird move. When the bases are loaded with 1 out, that's when Bednar comes in to face Stowers. They bring him in after the bases have already been cleared on a grand slam. He spirals even further, but you got to give him that chance. Carlos Rodon started this cascade by not being able to finish the 5th fucking inning.
Yeah, can't pitch to the bottom of the line. I just don't understand. I don't understand what goes. I don't know if it's a mechanical thing for him. I don't know if it's a mental thing for him, but the fact that he had not given up a hit at some point, but was at 90 something pitches, I'm just what is going on? Trouble pitching to the bottom of the lineup, which I can't understand. I can never understand it. It's infuriating beyond belief. Your stuff is working. You're up by 6 runs. Just put pitches over the plate. Don't throw meatballs, but throw strikes. Trust the defense behind you. You have a 6-run cushion. He's trying to dance around all these hitters. To me, the 2 biggest offenses of that game was Boone going to Loaizaga when he takes Rodon out. It's give me a break. Anybody but Loaizaga in that spot. Literally, I would endorse JT Brubaker there. Loaizaga is not good. Loaizaga has been terrible with inherited runners this season. He's been terrible with pitch location. He can't pitch to anybody. It's just the way that it's been for this team. Jonathan Loaizaga is bad. They spared him. In my opinion, this is a phantom IL stint for him.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a real IL stint, he should have been on the IL in April because he's looked bad and he hasn't been effective since April. So that was the number. I knew the game was in grave peril when he immediately gives up a hit, 2-run score. Game's totally different. Next offense was leaving Jake Bird in to face the best hitter on the Marlins. It's just, you're not doing your job. You're simply not doing your job. You're not paying attention to what's going on. Or again, it's classic Yankees to be he's not going to give up a grand slam here, is he?
We haven't even talked about the Caballero error yet, too, but it's another classic Yankees thing where, okay, 1st and 2nd, 1 out, single through the right side, ball rolls under Caballero's glove, and the game is tied. And a bunch of people we're saying, well, Caballero's error lost in the game, and I'm I don't know. It's such a Yankees thing to be yes, technically the game is not tied, if not for Caballero's error. It's 1st and 2nd, 1 out, 12-11. But I guarantee you the 2025 Yankees are not getting out of that situation alive with Agustin Ramirez at the plate next. I know we're throwing logic and reason out the window and we're reacting emotionally, but you can't earnestly tell me that if that error isn't made, Doval retires the next two batters and we're just saying, oh, good win. That got a little tight at the end. No, that game is already over.
Really, it's really hard to understand all of this and what's happened. And yeah, I think you're right. Like, not people thinking that you can't blame the manager here, or like the manager's not fully at fault, is crazy. Because why is it? Forget this year. Again, this is ongoing since 2020 with new iterations of various rosters. They've cleared out Aaron Boone's coaching staff twice now since he's been here. They've revamped this roster 4 times since 2020. This is not a personnel problem. This is not a coaching staff problem, like in terms of who's underneath Aaron Boone. This is an overall, whatever, like front office influence on Aaron Boone influence on players. Like, yeah, part of me agrees like nothing's going to change until Cashman is not forced to call all the shots, because we know a lot of that is coming from him. But also it's not going to change because Aaron Boone, who was never a manager before he signed on with the Yankees, doesn't ever really feel like he has the autonomy to do what he maybe wants to do, or maybe has the autonomy to just go and see like, hey, what'll it be like if I manage this game without anybody influencing it at all? I feel like he's barely had any chances to do that. And then when he finally does, you feel like it's like, all right, this is on like Boone right now. The front office can't do anything about this cascading situation. Like, Brian Cashman's not calling and being like, hey, Aaron, like, we got to put in this guy down 9-4 with the bases loaded. Like, that's not happening. So then it's on Aaron Boone to have a gut check moment and be like, all right, got to change something up here. It's on Aaron Boone to have a gut check moment before Saturday's game and be like, fucking last night was unacceptable, dude. We're winning today. There's no excuses. Gut check moment for Aaron Boone to be like, hey, man, if we get swept by the Marlins for the first time in history, heads are going to roll. People are going to lose play. Like, again, I don't know what the messaging is, but all of it comes down to this. And there is just not much more to gain with Aaron Boone being this manager. There's not much more to gain with this front office continuing to call the shots. And I know it sounds depressing, but like, we've been saying it since this slide happened. We were optimistic in the beginning of the year. We said, look, wow, this team improved defensively. They kind of improved fundamentals, base running, defense, all that. Like, depth is a little bit better. Looks like we could have some prospects coming up at some point. We were excited about Schlittler. We were hopeful about Spencer Jones. We were a little bit hopeful for Oswald Peraza to maybe find his footing. A lot of that, some of that stuff didn't come to fruition, and things got worse. Injuries took hold. The depth was exposed rather quickly, and now it's bad baseball for 3 months. So, like, if you're the manager and you can't stop the bleeding with what you have, and you're the manager and you get an infusion of talent at the trade deadline and you immediately get swept by, I know the Marlins are playing good baseball. They're 500 now.
Yeah.
Like, they're not a bad team. They're not a doormat like they used to be. But, like, again, another example of the Yankees playing down to their competition when there's just no excuse for it. And you have Jazz's base running error. You have Austin Wells dropping a pop-up. You have Anthony Volpe making more errors. You have Caballero's error that you just talked about. Like, and I will defend Aaron Boone there. Like, Yankee fans are like, oh, you're going to put a shortstop in right field. Like, Caballero's played second base in right field all year.
That's the whole point of him. He made a home run robbery against Ben Reyes at the wall in Tampa this year that looked unbelievable. He's a great defender. He made a terrible play because he's a Yankee now. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's like, the fact that we have had this is not a 2-month reaction. This is not a 1-year reaction. This isn't even a 2-year reaction. This is since 2020 where something's just been off. And don't know what it is. Don't know who's responsible, but for the Yankees to sit here, and I think they were 17 games over 500 in June, and they have been 9 games under 500 ever since.
Yeah, they got to 42-25. And again, Aaron Boone said it's gut check time now, and they're 25-32 since May 29th. They do this exact thing every year. Could it be worse without Boone and Cashman? Specifically without Boone in this instance? I don't know how. It's this every year. And sometimes they're not talented and not deep. This year right now, right now they are too talented to be doing this.
Yes.
This is a good to great team. This is a playoff team.
Good team with great potential.
Yeah, this is a good team with great potential, and they are not playing to their potential. And if they were managed by the Miami Marlins coaching staff, where would they be? It also just speaks to the lowered standards. Like, you're right. The Marlins have been playing really well for 2 months now. Marlins are not a bad team. Marlins are a 500 team. The expectations are so low that we're like, well, of course the Yankees got swept by the Marlins. They're red hot. Go win a game. Go win 2 games. Like, you are the New York Yankees. You are fighting for a playoff berth. The expectation should not be you are going to lose every road series. You'll be lucky to get 1 game in every road series, no matter where you're going and who you're playing. Enough.
Yeah. And you just look at how all of this transpires, and I know that the Yankees are usually, it's the easy low-hanging fruit on social media when the Yankees fail. Everybody was talking about this on Friday night. It wasn't just Yankees fans go off, right? And they say dumb shit, or like they're not fully informed on.
I don't blame anybody for having a reactionary take to a game that bad too. Like, I get mad at Red Sox. I get mad at Red Sox fans for complaining about when they lose because they have so many, great wins and inexplicable resurgences, and they trade Devers and get better. But I don't blame any Red Sox fan who watches a bad loss and is like, that sucked. I'll troll you maybe, but that's how sports works. You see a bad loss, you're going to react emotionally to it. What you're going to say might not make sense the next day. Yeah. I don't blame anybody.
No, and I totally agree with that. I think, there's a line sometimes, right? Like getting mad about Caballero in right field when you're not paying attention to what he's been doing the last 2 years. He's barely played shortstop. So, like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
I think that the fact that everybody picked up on this, right? Like other, baseball social media accounts were like, oh, Yankees super bullpen that all the fans were telling us they built at the trade deadline. 9 runs in 2 1/3 innings. Like,
yeah.
Everybody's picking up on it. I understand the Yankees are usually the butt end of the joke. A lot of that, I think, can stem from the dregs of the fan base who are just complaining to complain, and we know that exists, and it's always going to exist, and there's no need to amplify it, but we know it's there. But when you have everybody pick, and they've done this for years, like Joey Gallo acquisition, Alex Verdugo rollovers, DJ LeMahieu over these last couple years, and now the day after you have a momentous trade deadline where pundits were even saying Yankees might be the biggest winners of this deadline. Like, this was a lot of finessing. This was exactly what this team needed. And then to come out and do what they did on Friday, and then to become an immediate laughingstock among everybody, making you forgot about every other questionable deal that went down on Friday night. You weren't even you're just in the spin zone, and the Yankees got caught in that again because this is what they do now. They have an embarrassing game on the road against a team that's not very good, but has a little bit of talent. And then they, instead of responding to that the next day, which again, at times they've responded the next day this season. It mostly came in the first couple months where it was like, oh, wow, this team's got some resilience and they have some punch. They have not had that since Memorial Day weekend. It's objectively been gone. There's been no semblance of it, and it's continuing to just get worse and worse. And I want to talk about Austin Wells for a second here, because I don't know what's going on with this guy. This guy was supposed to be one of the special catching hitting prospects, and now, at this point, if you ask me point blank, Ben Rice should be getting more catcher reps over Austin Wells, and Paul Goldschmidt should be on the field more often. I know Paul Goldschmidt's bat is not doing well, but I believe at this point more in Paul Goldschmidt's bat turning it around than I do in Austin Wells. Austin Wells' energy completely off. The awareness in game completely off. He walked off the bag in extras against the Rays that night. They had that crazy win because he didn't know that there was only 2 outs and not 3. He never stops games when pitchers are undergoing meltdowns. It's just I don't know if the feel is lost there. I don't know if he's been told by the dugout to do something differently or to just let it be. But it seems to me he is just beyond lost. The walk rate slashed in half. The strikeouts are up. I don't know. And at this point, it's really tough because the surge happened in 2023 when he got called up. Then last year again, it was like a tale of it was a tale of portions of the season, much like it has been with Anthony Volpe, or at least it was in the beginning. It was like, oh, okay, hot start to the season or hot start to whatever, and then clear inflection point, and then clearly tired, and then complete fall off by mismanaging the asset. Austin Wells has worse stats than Anthony Volpe right now. I don't know why nobody's talking about that. I guess because, again, Volpe, easier, low-hanging fruit at this point.
His last 15 games have been great. It kind of makes no sense.
Yeah. I mean, he's tied for the most home runs since the All-Star break with Kyle Schwarber, which is be bonkers, Anthony Volpe. So he's got that going for him, but the defense is still very much lost. The swing decisions overall completely still beefed. I don't know what's going on, but Austin Wells has a sub. What is he? I think he has a 270 on base percentage at this point.
Yeah, I think it's in the high 260s. I got to pull it back up because he's down to like an
268.
88 OPS plus. Like that is.
He has 2023 Volpe numbers right now: 209, 268, 419, 687 OPS.
War.
Yeah, 88 OPS plus. Negative 0.4 D WAR. We were sitting here at a point in June, and we were like, "Oh my God, Austin Wells' offense is surging." And he could be in rarefied air among Yankees catching greats. And since then, it's just been a complete, what are you doing? June, 224, 647 OPS. July, 203, 698 OPS. And there's only been 2 games in August, but you want to talk a major slump over your last 40 games, and there kind of being no understanding. Again, we have talked endlessly on this show about how hard it is to get into a groove when you don't have consistent playing time. Ben Rice is somehow fine. He is not getting consistent playing time, and he is tearing a cover off the ball while these other options are absolutely not doing that. I think at this point, and again, you look at Agustin Ramirez, the Yankees bet on the wrong catcher again. It seems like I understand it's early, and we're talking about a 40-game slump for Wells, but again, Wells has not done enough over a long period of time to justify either earning as many reps as he could or earning whatever protection or security he has with the Yankees. It's like the Volpe argument when Boone is comparing him. Oh, well, Willie Adames and Ellie De La Cruz have a ton of errors too. And it's like, yes, they do, but they are also superstars. So Anthony Volpe having 2.5 bad years of play under his belt and now leading the league in errors versus Willie Adames, a 3-time All-Star, and has had 30 home run seasons. Ellie De La Cruz, who's one of the greatest young talents the modern era has ever seen. That's not a valid comparison. I don't want to go as far as to say as those guys are allowed to make those errors, because I think that making that many errors as a professional is largely unacceptable. But Anthony Volpe definitely has no room to make those errors. And Austin Wells at this point doesn't have the room to go on a major 40-game slump that drags his team further down. So I don't know what's going on, but if you're Aaron Boone and you're the manager, it's Ben Rice getting more catching games this week. It's managing in the moment, and I don't think he's going to do that.
Yeah, and I'm worried that it's Wells' hand and the numbness that he got checked out for in Toronto. Too, yeah. And if that's the case, the bat grip, if that's a problem, then it's all the more reason to rest him, because that is something beyond his control, and it's worrisome, and it's an element that's thrown a wrench into this. But okay, great. Then he gets 3 weeks on the IL, and we get Ben Rice and JC Escarra comes back up. That just has to happen at this point. I like Escarra as a big league bat. I don't mind having him get a couple of games per week. I can't have whatever version of Austin Wells this is playing every single day. I can't. Yep. And now I'm not going to harp on the Red Sox, but they passed us. They're a game up on us.
They're better than us.
They are better than us. They've been better than us pretty much every year since 2004, but especially 2021, 2, 3, 4, 5. They've had bragging rights on the Yankees. I inexplicably have someone in my Twitter mentions who I think is trying to justify that you'd rather be a Yankees fan than a Red Sox fan over that span of time, and is saying it's not that impressive that we have no playoff series wins against the Red Sox since 2003. You're not going to match up in the playoffs with these teams that often. No. 2004, 2018, 2021. They ate your lunch historically 3 times. That's enough for me. I don't need 7 more before I can say that they own us. I hope I don't get 7 more. I think 3 is enough, frankly. And more importantly than a playoff defeat, can you name a significant moment where the Yankees have had the upper hand on the Red Sox? I'm going to just say since 2020, because I'm racking my brain back to 2004. '06, they had a huge 5-game sweep at Fenway. Oh, great. Feather in your cap. 2006. 2009, they started the year 0-8 against Boston and then won the World Series without having to face them in the playoffs because the Angels did the Lord's work and got them out of there. If it's Yankees, Red Sox in the ALCS, we're going on 25 years without a title because there's no way we beat them in the playoffs because we never do. Hypothetical. Obviously can't defend that. That's, if you put me on the stand and said, can you have evidence we wouldn't have defeated them? No, I obviously do not. I'm a guy yelling on a podcast. I don't. But we didn't have to face them. We ducked them. Good job by the Angels. And then, 2013, 2018, they've got 4 World Series to our 1 since 2004. The Yankees contributed to their demise in 2019 and had that huge 5-game sweep in 2006. And in 2009, they evened things up after starting in a huge hole against them and then won the World Series without them in our way. Those are the highlights. All the head-to-heads in big, brassy, meaningful moments, they've got them. So last year, they were down like 15 games behind us, and they cut it to 2. And then we ended up finishing the year ahead of the Red Sox. Yes, congratulations to us. An incredible year that ended with the worst World Series defeat any of us can remember. Certainly no one is arguing, like, you're going to tell me we had the upper hand on anybody at the end of last year? No, Red Sox fans were in our business because we blew the World Series. No. And then this year, again, the Red Sox took 12 games back, is as far back as it got on June 6th or 7th. And now they're ahead. They're a game up in the loss column, 1.5 games in the standings. 2 years in a row they've done this to us. One of the years they have moved ahead. They didn't do that last year. They did it this year. They're going to finish ahead of us. I wouldn't bet against them. Why would I bet against them? They just swept Houston. They had an awful trade deadline that would have deflated any other team. They did nothing. They got Steven Matz and Dustin May. They swept the Astros in the wake of that. They usually, the last couple of years, you say one thing critical of the Red Sox, they've folded after having underwhelming trade deadlines. Well, they didn't do that in the immediate series right after the deadline this year. There's still technically time. Check back with me in October. We'll see. But I can already pretty much convince myself that the Yankees are not going to make me eat these words, and we'll see if the Red Sox make me eat these words. But they're ahead of us. It's just a game, one little measly game. I don't think we're getting that back.
I don't think so either. And what's crazy to me is that the Yankees have had the luxury of front office stability, which a lot of other organizations don't, right? The Red Sox have undergone 5 regime changes since 2004, and they've only seen success in each one, which is crazy because you sit here and you're like, shouldn't that type of turmoil set an organization back? Shouldn't, trading Mookie Betts set them back and not give them an ALCS berth 2 years later, a year and a half later? Should trading Rafael Devers in blindsiding fashion in the middle of a season when you said you were not going to trade him right before your team goes on a 2-week road trip, shouldn't that make your team worse and not exponentially better? Should, you look at all the other the personnel on the Red Sox roster and you look at these numbers and you're just baffled because how is Abraham Toro for a long stretch, not recently he hasn't been great, but how was he for a month admirably filling in at first base and putting up huge numbers? How is Trevor Story arisen from the dead? How has Cedar Rafaela turned into, I don't want to say MVP candidate, but that's an incredibly valuable player in terms of elite defense and productive offense.
Game changer, difference maker, and he was worse than Volpe last year.
Yep, worse than Volpe last year, complete turnaround. Romy Gonzalez has, in my opinion, no business doing what he's doing, but he is, 291 with an 889 OPS. Rob Refsnyder is the best fourth outfielder in the league, maybe. It's just insane. And then you look at the Yankees, and they can't fit in a singular replacement level player to produce. Again, it's every year we look at the bench and it's an assortment of players that don't matter and will never matter. And meanwhile, the Red Sox are getting unlikely contributions from names that the rest of the baseball community hasn't heard of. and they're able to stay afloat, and they're able to be like just as good or like a little bit worse than the Yankees, and in the meantime, the Red Sox are like willingly tearing down rosters. They are swiping, they're slashing payroll to ownership's orders. They're what you would think are upending team chemistry by making these moves and altering, the complexion of the clubhouse, but it doesn't affect them. Meanwhile, the Yankees go out on a trade deadline. They completely revamp the bullpen and they add two pieces that they didn't have on the position player side of things. And I understand it's only been 3 or 4 games, but they look worse and they don't look like that's reinvigorated them. So how do the Red Sox go from a wildly underwhelming trade deadline where fans are yelling and they get 2 players that are not even going to be here next year because they're rental candidates, and then you have the Yankees who build ahead for 2026 and completely check all the boxes that they need to, and they get swept by the Marlins for the first time in franchise history. So it's just insane. Like the Red Sox are weathering the Red Sox clubhouse and leadership. Alex Cora, I guess, is a good manager. I think he's overrated, but I think he at least keeps the group together for the most part and is a little bit of a hard ass. So I think that resonates a little bit better. But you have the front office and ownership like actively working against your team's productivity. Like I will still stand by that getting rid of Rafael Devers was not a smart move. I don't care if it cleared up the payroll. I don't care. Like it doesn't make any sense. He's an excellent baseball player who was signed to a long-term deal where you're getting a majority of those years in his prime. And yeah, the numbers in San Fran and have not been good in the early going. But again, like you don't just appear at another like destination after being traded in like pretty ruthless fashion and start producing right off the bat. Like it just doesn't work like that. If you know you're going to be traded for months because your team sucks and you're an asset that you know that the organization is going to be able to leverage, like that's a different story. Rafael Devers was blindsided by having his position taken away from him, and then he was blindsided by a trade that nobody was expecting because it was not on anybody's radar. So you look at just what the Red Sox have done over these last, since 2019, and the fact that the Yankees like don't even have that much to hang their hat on outside of a World Series appearance, whereas the Red Sox have been to 1 ALCS to the Yankees 2 over that same span. It's been crazy.
Just the idea that it's just, I will never understand Red Sox fans who are sort of acting like, oh my God, this happened. I never saw this come. Like I just found something under my hat. We erased a big 12-game deficit over the Yankees. Can you believe it? Yes. Oh my God. Well, it's been a really long time since Fenway's been rocking. What? You went to the ALCS in 2021. It rocks every time we play you, it rocks. I don't know. I can't take it, and I never will be able to. And that's a me thing. That's a personal defect. But 4 World Series to R1 since 2000. Like, I'd rather be the Red Sox. If you can't handle the lows of Red Sox fandom, you have absolutely loved the years when the Yankees went 82-80. Like, you might as well bottom out and get a better draft pick. Like, I don't know. I would absolutely rather be bottoming out and winning 4 times as many titles. But that's just me. If you disagree, join us in the comments. Thank you for listening to and watching the Yanks Go Yard podcast. I'm Adam Weinrib. You can find me on Twitter at Adam Weinrib, and I know some of you will, based on the tweets I'm getting. Thomas Carannante, where can the people find you?
You guys got to tweet at me more. I don't know why you're coming after Adam.
People hate when I'm right. They just hate when I'm right. No, I'm not always right, but in this instance, this is pretty inarguable. You're going to tell me the Yankees have been good against the Red Sox since 2004?
No.
Give me a break.
No, I mean, look at the difference this year, folks. At Tommy's_takes, tell me whatever you want, but 1-5 against the Red Sox, that's going to make the difference at the end of the year. You watch, especially when they get swept whenever they play again. At Yanks Go Yard FS, the official social media account of Yanks Go Yard. You can talk to both of us there if you so please. yanksgoyard.com. All the content there you're going to need. Look, you might think, and you would be wrong, that August is a slow month. It is not. There will be a lot of speculation on roster expansion come October, come September. Fast forward
October, we'll talk about a lot of roster expansion. They'll be trading people and paying people off this horrible roster because they won't be playing in October.
Yeah, so August, we'll talk about roster expansion for September. September, we'll talk about roster gutting for October. Got it. We got minor league trades still on the table, can still happen. And this stretch of play is going to define the Yankee season. So if you guys are tuning in and you're watching games and you're keeping up with everything that's going on in the dugout, every at-bat, every play on the field, we're there for you. We're writing about a lot of stuff that we're not talking about on the podcast. So please head on over there. We appreciate you guys reading and listening, tuning in today. Please, again, like and subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. Got that little ticker up for you at the bottom. You'll know when we're going live. It's usually Mondays and Thursdays. Sometimes we sneak in a surprise appearance. Sometimes we have some guests. You never know. Yankees suck. It's not enjoyable watching them. We'll stick with it. We're going to be fans here with you guys, so hang around with us. And until then, we'll talk to you on Thursday.
No day off going from Miami to Texas. Just great. 3-game series against the team the Yankees are 3 games up on. Best of luck to you, New York Yankees. We love you. We believe in you. Go get after it. And finally, an off day Thursday. It's going to be the best day of the week. No Yankees baseball on Thursday. Incredible. We'll be live again at 2 o'clock Eastern on that day. Until then, take care, everybody.